Henderson, and I've been here in Sedona for 11 years. And my story I want to share with you today is a life-changing moment happened to me, which is just over 20 years ago now. Back in the UK, at the time, I was a very successful fashion and beauty photographer in London and had my own studio and was working for international clients like Esprit, Harvey Nichols, most of the hair product companies doing beauty work. And things were on the up and up, getting great clients. Esprit were flying from New York to come and work with me in London, which was pretty amazing at that time. And one of my passions, I've always been into free sports, and windsurfing was one of my big passions. I was into windsurfing from day one when there was only one board available, the windsurfer, learning on lakes, and it became a big passion of mine, and I evolved my skills with windsurfing as the sport evolved and sort of got into the high end of the sport. And for my 40th birthday, went to Marguerite, island of Marguerite in Venezuela, because it's one of the windiest places on the planet. 2-week holiday. Last day of the holiday, I was out sailing with a very big sail and high winds, just got exhausted, thought that's it, had a great time here. Just coming in my last run of the day, caught a gust of wind, went a little bit further off from where I was sailing, hit a sandbar, doing about 36 knots. As I was going into a turn. Now with the boards, your foot is supposed to pop out of the foot strap. In that case, a split second as I was going through the turn, my foot got caught in the foot strap as the board hit a brick, like hitting a brick wall at 30 miles an hour. And it completely snapped and shattered my talus bone in the ankle, which is the pivotal one. My foot was hanging off. Luckily I had good insurance, because I was in Venezuela of all places, and luckily I was taken to a sports clinic. They did an operation eventually after 6 hours, and they sort of stuck things back together as best they could. I had to wait there for an extra 3 weeks before I could fly, flew back to the UK with 3 seats on the plane, and went to see a specialist in the UK who put me into a wheelchair. He did another operation. He was quite happy with what had been done, but he thought he could make improvements. I ended up in the wheelchair for 8 months with my leg elevated, going around like this. I tried to work in my studio, doing some shoots in the wheelchair. It didn't work. You know, I was very energetic and would move around, and so it's very frustrating for me. So I had to sit back and, you know, sort of rehab for a long period of time. Over the next 8 years, I had 6 correctional operations. The final operation, when I went in, I had counselling because they weren't sure whether they could save the foot, and they were possibly going to amputate my leg right up to the waist. So I went into this operation with no idea that I'm going to have a leg when I came out. But all that period, I was in chronic pain. Chronic pain is, you know, constantly. And because of that, at that time, which was 20 odd years ago, opiates were freely handed out. I started off on morphine. And that didn't work, so they gave me more morphine. And on top of that, then the antidepressants came in, the sleeping pills, and literally I was taking handfuls of pills every day for 6 years. Psychologically, completely threw me. And I didn't realize, you know, how that you become upon, because the doctors don't tell you. You know, and they also don't tell you anything about the after effects and how difficult it is to come off of them. And so I was getting worse and worse, and after my final operation, which was probably the most painful one, post-operation out of them all, again it was just like massive amounts of opiates, which sent me completely psychotic, completely lost grip on reality. And through my mind and thought process, because I was very weak, I had no idea that I was creating all this for myself. I created an absolute hell where everybody was against me. I was the victim, and I had no friends because I saw everybody, was against me for some reason. It's like complete paranoia. Luckily, amongst this, I was suicidal, for weeks. And what was an 18-year marriage sadly came to an end because my ex-wife had been very supportive up until that point, but then it just became too much for her. And sort of also I had these paranoias about her and pushed her away. So I was left on my own. Had days crying on the bathroom floor, suicidal. But there was a little spark in me that sort of kept me going. And one day I was randomly online on Amazon looking for some music, and this book appeared. And this book was by Ross Heaven, who is a holistic teacher. He's written many books. It was an interesting title. It was Heal Yourself Through Haitian Voodoo, which most people's association with voodoo is New Orleans hoodoo voodoo as a bad thing, because that's what Hollywood's made it. But this is actually about plant medicine and herbs as used in Africa to heal people. And I just ordered the book, so that looks amazing. So I ordered the book. I was really taken by it, and then I discovered Ross lived just down the road from me. Say just down the road, but he's 36 miles away. It's like from the big world. And he did personal sessions. And so I contacted Ross and made an appointment, and within half an hour he had been more help than the medical system had been over years. He was explaining what was going on for me, and he was very keen to support me to wean myself off of the medication. And at that point I'd been in and out of psychiatrists who want to actually sort of put me on other drugs which they thought would then get to support and heal me. And so Ross's idea was completely different. As a herbalist, he said that he could support me, wean me off the drugs, or help me wean myself off the drugs, and actually sort of start reclaiming some power. It was an amazingly quick process, which I managed to get off all my prescribed medication, probably within about 3 months. Considering how long I've been on it, and take complete herbal alternatives, but it was a slow process originally. You're taking both, and then you take less of the prescribed medication, and then Ross became a good friend. I went to the Amazon with him. He had written several books. He spent time with the Shipibo. We went and spent a month with the Shipibo in Peru, in the high Amazon. And we were working with healing plants plus plant spirit medicine, including ayahuasca, which back in that 20 years ago, well, this is actually 10 years ago when we went, wasn't what it's become today. It's something that's very misused. It's become a tourist industry. People do not prepare themselves for it. With Ross, we were working 3 months on diet just to prepare ourselves to be in the Amazon. And then we had 2 weeks there as we started working with the individual aspects of the plant. There's 3 different bits before we actually partook in 12 consecutive nights of ayahuasca ceremonies, which blew my mind. The first night was incredible. I mean, I could just spend the whole day just talking about stories and what happened there, but the relevance is, some of it is very relevant still. Came back from the Amazon, sold my house, went through divorce, got rid of all my possessions, and was very taken by the holistic medicine and the tribes people and the medicine people, and decided that I'm going to go back to Peru, and spent time in Peru with my suitcases. Just had no idea where I was going. When I went up through South America and up into Mexico, and got introduced to all these different cultures. Doorways were opening. it's only sort of recently that I have realized how deep psychologically, sort of all the psychotic experiences through the opiates had taken a toll on me, because I was lost. I was searching for something that had been lost. I had left my home country. I had left all my friends, my family. I thought, were against me at the time. And I was running away from what was a very, very traumatic experience. The trauma was very, very deep. And it's only on my visit back to the UK in October this year when I discovered a box of my old-fashioned photography, which at that point when I was suicidal, I was getting rid of everything. I didn't want any traces of myself left in this world. I thought I destroyed all traces of my photography, but here was this box of pictures, which I shipped back to America. This is very recent. It came back sort of a couple of months ago, and it's rekindled within me a passion that I've been ignoring for so many years. And it's been bittersweet in the sense that it's been amazing to reconnect with a talent that I have been ignoring, but it's also, the question is, why have I been ignoring this for so long? Yes, I do photography now, and I have been doing photography as a form of creative expression, which has become very much inspired by my time in the Amazon. But when you tune into nature and being able to see the energy of nature, that's been the basis of my fine photography. But I've been ignoring my skills of being able to capture people in a very beautiful way. And so this is all sort of literally come together over the last month or so, is like reawakened that sort of passion for capturing beauty. And I've actually taken it to the steps of studying aesthetics, beauty, and through my experience of holistic medicine and my own personal journey of evolving, which has become the main focus of my life for the last 10 years. I'm now putting together workshops where we use that idea of stripping away the manufactured ideas of beauty, especially for women, because the same studies say most people that turn up for workshops are women, 95%. Well, and that's ones that I've been to, and that's ones I've hosted myself. And there's big issues, for people, how they perceive or carry themselves in the world based upon how they feel they should look because of their outside conditioning. So it's very inspiring to be able to bring all these elements together, actually rather than to do a makeover, it's complete opposite. I haven't come up with the word for the opposite of a makeover yet, but you're stripping away everything to capture the true beauty which is held within. And so through sort of working with people and their issues and anything that they're still carrying that they still need to find peace with, we then sort of let them shine from within. And on top of that is, I'm studying to photograph people again in the way and the style which I always did, which was very understated. And it was always based upon sort of capturing the true essence of that person. And I was privileged to, within the time of my photography profession in London, working with some of the very top models of the time, people like Kate Moss, and to have them come to you and say, Stephen, your pictures you've taken me are the favourite shots I've ever had. It's pretty amazing. I mean, Kate obviously went on to work with some amazing photographers and has got an amazing amount of work there, but it's like the model agencies loved me because that's what I did. I took pictures that the models were really proud of. It's like, this is me, So I'm very much inspired, once again, 20 years later, to get back into honouring one of the great gifts that I've had, and it's the frustration side of it is, it's like, why? Why has it taken so long? And it's taken so long because of the opiates completely suppressed me and completely wiped my mind free from being successful, from being responsible, in the sense of having my life together, buying a house, all the things that we do. That was stripped away from me because I lost control of my life. And that's the frustration, is like the doctors at no stage were telling me the possible impact that the medication that they were freely giving me was going to have on my life. And there was absolutely no support to wean you off of those drugs. And it completely changed my life. Yes, there's the positives. The positive aspect is my own personal growth, eventually finding myself. But the big question for me is like, had I not had that accident, where would my photographic career be now? What would I have been doing? I mean, there's no mistakes in life. I see everything happens for a reason. We're here to evolve. I've certainly, as a person, evolved greatly through the experience, but the frustration is like what I could have been doing in that time had I not totally had my power taken away by medication. There's no limits. I know how the magic works out there. Energy flows where attention goes. And so, it's like I built up from nothing, of taking pictures of my sister when I was 8 years old, on holidays in Scotland with my shorts on, sort of posing my sister with my box brownie, and literally we've got movies of this. It's always been a passion of mine, and it's like, it's now so exciting to think that there's a way that it can help empower people. But I'm open to travel anywhere in the world, to share my magic, to capture that beauty in any way that it can help the greater good. That's my journey. And it's interesting from the point of changing direction, of the realization that we are all here with unique gifts and talents. And we all have unique gifts and talents artistically. A lot of people do not honour that because of the ego, and they're sort of questioning, am I good enough? What will people think? Which is not what free expression is all about. And then we also have unique gifts and talents to help one another. And that's probably one of the biggest doorways for me through this whole process, is when I started honouring those gifts through my personal experience, helping, supporting other people with opiate problems or addiction problems or whatever it is, that so much opened up for me in life. There's a different way of being here. And when we step into service, it's amazing the magic that can happen. And so that's what I want to share with people, help people find their own unique gifts and expression and self-expression, give them confidence through sort of how they see themselves. And part of that is producing a picture that captures that moment of them being empowered. It's important for people to be present in the moment, because that's where that magic happens. Magic doesn't happen thinking about sort of all mistakes I made in the past, or what happened if I did this or did that, or how am I going to pay the rent next month? Or it's so important just to be here, now, focused, clearly, set intentions, and on top of that, the important thing is, it's no good just sitting around praying all day and everything's going to be wonderful. We have to apply ourselves. As Joseph Campbell, one part of it says, follow your bliss. I have adapted that to follow your blisters. Because yes, we should be doing the things that make us feel good, but we have to apply ourselves. Clear focus, intention, be present in the moment, apply ourselves, there's the magic. Anything is possible.